Just making sure all these case threads are clean before I start assembling the front angle drive here. This is the piece that bolts onto the passenger side of the bell housing side, rather, of the transmission, and acts like a 90-degree power takeoff that sends power to the rear wheels. So really what this thing does, and as I put it together here it'll start to make more sense, is takes power directly off of the case of the front differential, so it just passes it right through the as if it was connected directly to the ring and pinion. So what I originally thought when I sort of just took a first glance at this is, wow, that's really strange. It looks like all of the power for the passenger side front drive shaft, you know, that power just gets sapped and, you know, angle driven to the rear also. But no, there's actually a hollow passage. Again, there's another shaft I'll show you. There's a hollow passage through one of the bevel gears that allows that passenger side output to just pass through this unit as if it wasn't here. So that's helpful. It also means I'm pretty close to having equal length drive shafts on the front of the car, which is supposedly a good thing for crazy torque steer, but you know, we'll see if that's really a thing. I also have a front wheel drive only Golf right now, and it's got the same kind of Pelican limited slip in it, torsion type differential, and I don't really have any crazy torque steer problems, so I'm not super worried about it. Got enough light here? Okay. So, as is probably obvious, this is the rear output for the angle drive, and most of the way all this stuff is done is you actually have two bearings on this, and the bearings, you know, tapers face inward, and they are both shimmed internally, so there's no play in this cap. And you have to run that nut in, obviously, but those two bearings, both a large one on the inside and a smaller one on the outside, and a lip seal behind this little tripod output, or whatever you want to call it, hold this bevel gear in place. There's also this nose on here that matches a needle bearing in the center of this case. So there's a whole lot of bearings in a tight space, even though you think this angle drive, all it does is you know, make a right turn. There's still quite a few bearings that have to be shimmed in order to you know, keep the proper amount of preload and you know, keep the gears from lashing, you know, or not meshing correctly. So a lot of work. Well, I would say more work went into the shimming process in the transmission case itself, since that's kind of what Kendall and I understand. And the angle drive, since there isn't really a process and there was really no way for me to make a whole ton of shims, I went with what was provided, and now I'm going to assemble it without tamping in a bunch of seals and making sure I have all of that lash out and things are shimmed properly. So this may not be the last time that this goes together, but I do want to do a full assembly of it and then, you know, check my tolerances and everything. see here, I might have screwed up. That's really odd. Can you... I don't know if you can see those. These holes, you know, if you just kind of look down at this thing generically, you can see that, you know, all these holes look like they're symmetrical. The other side of the case is not symmetrical, so it can only go one way, but I figured this case cover could go two ways, and I think I guessed wrong. So let me check and see if that's the truth. Which would be unfortunate. Yeah. See how satisfying that is, setting that on there.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Just... You did that and you were like...
Yes.
Satisfaction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Culmination of what, like 40 Google searches and...
Couple hours of work.
Couple hours. How many of those did you get?
Just one, because I didn't 100% know if it was going to be right, so I need to order another one. Well, or 2 or 3 more.
Yeah. How much were they?
30, 40 bucks.
That's fucking cheap.
Instead of
That's
$280.
really fucking cheap.
A little bit more oil on these before I assemble them. I was so worried about surface rust on a lot of these bearing races and whatnot that I even pre-oiled them, just getting them out of the bags that they came in. So if you look down in the top of this, you can kind of see what's happening now. You've got this hollow hole through the center of this bevel gear on this bearing, which allows that independent transfer of power to the passenger side CV through this whole case. And this is actually what you're looking at here is the output side. So this would be towards the passenger side wheel, and then the other side goes onto the bell housing. Now this, you can tell I won't have the same issue that I had before of not having this oriented the correct way, because you can see this one threaded insert here is kind of notched out just to match this same one in this part of the case. So it's all pretty obvious how this side goes together. I think we'll try it the same way again. Like I said, I'm gonna have to get some more washers, but I do just want to pull this case together and make sure everything fits how it's supposed to. So here's where this differential is a little different on the O2C than it is on the O2A. On an O2A, you'd only have you know, a left and a right output, and your input is obviously from this ring gear. The difference on the all-wheel drive version is you have this little splined piece, and then what happens there is you get the power basically off of the ring gear, independent of the front differential. You transmit it through this ring, which slips on here, if I can slip this on. It's notably a little tight. I don't want to force it, but you get the idea. And then what happens here is, if you're picturing a transmission case over here, is this meshes with the same sort of spline setup on that angle drive, and we'll turn the rear output there. So that's kind of how the magic happens. You're spinning this, you know, you're spinning this ring gear here, and you're always getting power output to the back, independent of anything that's coming out this this passenger side CV. So the way the passenger side CV works is the same way it would normally work in a standard front wheel drive box, is where you have the shaft that comes in and meshes up with the differential, if you can get the spider gears there. And then that runs all the way through. And let me see if I can turn that. And then you mount your passenger side CV on the end of that. So you just transmit right through the angle drive. If I could tamp that all together, it would make more sense, but you kind of get it. Made a thing. About